Hello and welcome. This is Political Paradigm, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in Lagos on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka, standing in for your regular anchor, Terry Ikumi. Now, party politics gets our attention today as we look at the thinking of the opposition and indeed the ruling party, but especially at the opposition. For the second time in about 2 weeks, the presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Coalition, NDC, Mr. Peter Obi, has called for the resignation of the incumbent President Bola Tinubu over what he calls worsening governance failures. The last time was about 2 weeks ago when the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, resigned over worsening economic conditions. And Mr. Peter Obi says Mr. Tinubu should take a cue from the decision of Sir Keir Starmer and also resign. Of course, the ruling party has dismissed that particular call for the incumbent's resignation. And so we get an insight into the thinking of the opposition candidate and indeed perhaps the NDC on a larger scale as we look at other developments within the party. We're not forgetting as well party primaries as the fallout of the APC primaries conducted in the month of May continues to reverberate. So stay with us. We'll be right back as we begin with the politics of the opposition. We'll be right back.
We all see the world differently, but our time zones, politics, diplomacy, and sometimes conflict all converge in one place on The World Today. The World Today brings you those headlines from around the world with in-depth discussions that help you understand the world we live in. Don't be in the dark. Catch us weekdays at 5:30 p.m. only on Channels Television.
Are you ready for the thrill, the grit, and the glory? Feel the energy.
This is where legends are born. Every game, every match, every moment.
Witness the passion.
From the court to the track, into the stadium, everywhere in between, we've got you covered.
Celebrate the journey.
It's not just sports, it's life in motion.
This is where every sport comes alive. Your all-access pass to the world of sports. At these times, only on Channels Television.
Welcome back. We're very glad to have you. And Mr. Tanko Yunusa, the National Coordinator of the Obedient Movement, and of course an NDC chieftain, joins us live virtually this afternoon. Mr. Yunusa, good afternoon and welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you very much for having me, Bukola.
It's good to have you join us. I'm looking at your principal's note calling on President Tinubu to resign for the second time, and he's citing the IMF consultation report for 2026, in which it is identified that at about 8.83 trillion naira in expenditure undertaking in the year 2026 is unaccounted for. And of course, the Minister of Finance has been speaking over this, and he's saying that it's totally untrue, that if indeed the IMF claim is true, that it should cite projects that have been covered under this expenditure not accounted for in 2026 to prove that indeed these funds have not been appropriated for duly according to the law. So why should we believe the IMF and follow through with your principal's criticism of the administration?
What the government ought to have done was to show us a clear-cut view of how the budget itself was expended. That way they will have countered what it is that is already being accused, what they are being accused of. But where a government cannot account for a complete year budget, where capital projects are not being funded, and then an external body can come out and tell you that the total expenditures of the ABC have not been accounted for, you are now asking them to give you a proof. You are the owner of that particular project and the work and the budget itself. Can they come out and tell Nigerians this is exactly what they've used such money for? That is the question. They have the proof that they have been able to expend the money that they have been accused. Already, they have already accused them publicly, internationally, to make it even worse.
The 2026 budget, like other budgets, is a public document, and you can go to the budget website and find what has been allocated to which ministry. Of course, there is no contention as at now that perhaps some ministries have not gotten capital component in full, but that the budget in its entirety is not accounted for may not necessarily be true. Perhaps you should provide more clarity on what you're trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is very clear, even in the public domain. Even the contractors themselves come out to say to the whole world that their expenses have not been covered. It is not by us saying so. It is even those who are actually concerned have come out and say X, Y, Z. The government up to today have not been able to come up and tell us that X, Y, Z has been expended according to what is provided into the budget. I agree with you, line by line provision has already been made, but they have not been executed. So on a continuous basis, these are documents that are already in the public domain. It is not hidden, it is everywhere. Even now, as you sit there, you can Google it and see whether they have really actually executed the expenditure of the budget as they claim to have. Obviously, no. So when the International Monetary Fund has come out to say this, what more proof do you need from us?
Agree with the Minister of Finance that the IMF should provide projects that these funds may have covered that are not accounted for in the budget, instead of making a blanket statement that a whopping 8.8 trillion naira was expended outside the budget without telling us what it was expended on.
Bukola, you own a house. You spend XYZ on food in your kitchen. Yet, your husband or your children come to the kitchen and find it empty. You are now asking the children to provide proof that you did not spend that money on the food that you claim to have spent. That's funny. The government of the day that spent the money should be able to come out and say, this is XYZ that we've done with this particular money. And we will now ask whether that particular money is commensurate to what government is saying that they spent the money for. It's simple. You don't look at science. So we don't need to overflow this question. It is clear that this government has mismanaged the funds that's supposed to be allocated to the Nigerian people. Clearly, and a heavy debt is already. So His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi is very right to have called for resignation, because one of the key factors in a government where you cannot account for money under your care, when you have left the people insecure, you cannot provide for them food, you cannot make sure that their education is secured, you cannot ensure that they are being revered, are being known and respected in the community of nations, the government has failed.
Well, Mr. Tanko, the debate over the clarity of that particular contention by the IMF may continue, but that report does acknowledge that revenues of the federal government have increased, well, with tax reforms, and it also acknowledges the macroeconomic reforms that have resulted in stability, maybe not necessarily gains. Wouldn't your principal acknowledge that? Wouldn't you acknowledge that, at least on behalf of your principal, that that is a plus for the administration?
You talk about plus, even though I did not hear what you said very well, but the people are the ones that are supposed to feel the positive nature of whatever reform that the government has done. If the reforms are positive in the interest of the people, you will see it on the ground. If it is negative, you will also see it. As we speak, majority of Nigerians now, what you used to buy at 1,000 naira has been transformed to cost you 10,000 naira, with no commensurate income to that particular effect. Check the indices, 1,000 to 10,000. And you will tell me probably the reforms have been very effective on the people? Obviously, no. Because if the reforms have been, the Nigerian people will have felt the impact. They will have felt it in their own homes, in their kitchen, that there's an improvement in their income and the spending that they have already been able to make. But as it is now, you keep on taxing the people. You keep on strangulating the people. You keep on making them insecure as a people. There is no power to supply to even take them into productivity. You are making the life of the people so miserable with pain and pang. And you talk about probably the feeling that probably the government should be applauded. Obviously, no. In fact, the government should have been given a kind of a whipping in the bum because they have put the Nigerian people in a very difficult situation.
Well, even though the report does acknowledge that the subsidy savings are not reflecting from about 2024 in subsequent appropriations, and that about 53% of federal revenue have gone on interest payments, it does acknowledge the stability in the macroeconomic reforms. And your principal, you know, had he become president in 2023, would have embarked on similar reforms, I believe. At least we can speak about fuel subsidy removal, because most of the candidates at the time campaigned on the promise to remove fuel subsidy because it had become an albatross for the economy. So if that were the case, Mr. Tanko, what would your principal be doing differently to manage the economic situation that Nigeria currently finds itself in? Are you saying that had Mr. Peter Obi been president, this particular economic challenge would not be the current narrative? What would he be doing differently?
Obviously, completely different. Because one of his key attributes in the 5C is empathy, care for the Nigerian people. As it's today now, this particular government does not care about the Nigerian people. You heard when the wife of the president was saying that graduates should go and be selling akara and corn on the streets. That is the kind of love that they want to give to the Nigerian people. Let me tell you something different about His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. Yes, he has alluded to the fact that there will be removal of fuel subsidy, but he made it clear, before we engage into that, there will have been an alternative way in which we will be producing fuel oil in our own country, and of course refining it. That will have been a different model, and making sure that the prices have not gone skyrocketed the way they are now without control. That wouldn't have happened under His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. And I also will tell you that along the line that Mr. Peter Obi become president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2023, you can be rest assured there will be production. There will be an inroad in terms of production. Even if he borrows, I can tell you he will not borrow for us to spend on preparing for election and stealing the money of the public money to a point of stupor. He will have invested it. There's nothing wrong with you borrowing to invest into production. But what we are doing at the moment now, we are borrowing to extinction of spending for personal person with corrupt tendencies. And that is the reason why today we have a federal government that cannot account for one of its agencies, saying that this agency does not come, it comes from the moon, and then it's yet amount of money has been allocated to that particular agency. This is the kind of government that we have already in this country. And I believe you as a journalist wouldn't have supported this kind of thing that is happening within our system. So a Peter Obi presidency will be that of compassion, accountability, credibility, character. And I will say also that in every of his actions, you will see him energizing debate, generating funds that will be expended for the interest of the Nigerian people, not borrowing to a point of support that you cannot account for. It won't happen under his leadership.
But this administration has also shown some compassion. Its social investment program has seen the distribution of 25,000 naira in different phases to vulnerable households. And in that particular interview that has now gone viral by the wife of the president, she also spoke about, you know, the grants, the handing out of grants, not loans now, to vulnerable persons. Some people would say that, you know, her commentary may have been misunderstood, but that people have been giving grants cannot be disputed, can it? Is that not enough compassion shown to the people?
But I'm being interviewed by Channels Television. I didn't know that I'm interviewed by the defender of the government. Because the way you are talking, you seem to be defending the interest of what the government has already said it has done.
It's not a defense for the government, Mr. Tanko. It's part of the narrative that should also be captured in the discourse. Do you dispute that there is a social investment program of the APC government that has seen the distribution of certain sums to households? Do you dispute that?
With all due respect, you are a journalist. You have been seeing what is going on within the system. And I'm sure even within your office, there are people who are looking for funds in order to go into business. It is the interest rate that is being provided that can enable them to continue with their businesses. All the handouts. Nigerians don't need handouts from anybody. They don't need handouts. They only need what is rightfully belonging to them. When you invest in Nigeria, invest with a low interest rate and see how they will be productive. But as we are going right now, these are interest rates that can break your neck, that will not encourage any entrepreneurship, neither can it even make you to even survive in your business. How many businesses have already closed down right now in Nigeria that we have been seeing? People cannot eat 3 square meals. People cannot travel from point A to point B without thinking twice. How much was the rate of a flight between you to go to Abuja, from Abuja to Lagos? How much is it today? You are there, you are feeling the same pinch. But here we are always providing a defensive position for this particular government who has abysmally failed this country in complete total energy. I am not speaking because of me, I am speaking because of a lot of people. And if you call on 100 Nigerians right and here, they will tell you the abysmal failure of this particular government. So what are we talking about?
Well, we'll leave that particular aspect of the conversation and go to the second part of your principal's notes to the federal government calling on the incumbent to resign. And this time he talks about the concern over security. He specifically frowned on the delay in the rescue of the abducted children and teachers of Orire local government in Oyo State. And he, in fact, provided information to the effect that he has been speaking with the Oyo State governor and wondered why there has been no communication between the president and the Oyo State government more than 50 days after the abduction. And some would say your principal is exploiting private conversation to score a cheap political point. Did he have to reveal private details of his interaction with the Oyo State governor over this particular matter?
And it concerns Nigerians. Even you can put up a call to the governor and demand for answers. Even you, because you have a right, you are a citizen, especially you are even from the Southwest. So every Nigerian has a right to ask the governor that is governing him and ask him for accountability of what happened to the children. How can we, as a nation, we're talking about Nigeria, we're not talking about Togo or Benin Republic, we're talking about Nigeria here. And these children are supposedly to be in Nigeria under abduction. That is the reason why when somebody was making allusion to Peter Obi that will not be voted for in the northern part of the country, citing that Peter Obi does not have what it takes and all of that. So I'm wondering, the same Peter Obi who secured his own people, did you hear any kind of abduction during Peter Obi when he was a governor? No, not at all. And I make reference to Ademadu Sheriff, who was saying that the northern people will not vote for Peter Obi. It's a complete false. We have seen the light, we've seen it differently. And we're talking about somebody who himself was involved in Boko Haram and as claimed by your television station here, saying that this particular person, the negotiator, that is the Australian negotiator.
Allegedly, Mr. Tanko Yunusa, even as you make that particular assertion, perhaps we want to add allegedly to it so that we don't confer a wrong narrative or cast aspersions on a particular character, but you can go ahead with your commentary.
But for using grammar, but grammar will not solve what in this particular matter. The truth is that we have Nigerians that have already been abducted. Young boys and girls, they are in the bushes up to today. And those who are accusing Mr. Peter Obi for calling out Nigerians who have failed in their duties are saying that they did not know or they are not aware that these Nigerians are already in this country and they are not being rescued. And I'm saying truly that those who are making this particular position, they don't have any moral justification whatsoever. Because during their tenure, they have been allegedly, let me use your word, part of those who created Boko Haram in the first place. I was here. I saw when Boko Haram started. They were starting with bow and arrow. Now they have machine guns. And those who have been doing this are still alive. And the same people are the ones that have been financing them. No single person has been arrested. That is the reason why some of our children will be there lavishing in bushes and nobody is rescuing them. And we keep quiet as Nigerians. Maybe because it does not happen to us. One day, maybe it happens to any of our children, then we will know. These parents are in pain, and this country government has failed in rescuing them. And this is just one. It's happening everywhere in this country on a continuous basis. So how would you accuse Mr. Peter Obi of doing what he's supposed to do as a Nigerian? Because he has shown compassion and he has shown empathy by showing concern that what is happening to these children. What have you been able to do? He's his colleague. He was a former governor, so he has the right to even connect with him.
But Mr. Shea Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, is in the opposition, and is, as a matter of fact, is fielding a presidential ambition. But there have also been other kidnap stories from other states of the Federation. For instance, in Ekiti State, the kidnapped victims who spent about 40-something days in captivity were only just released 2 days ago. Some would have asked, why did Mr. Peter Obi not visit the governor of Ekiti State to condole with him and, you know, find out the welfare of those people prior to this time before their release? There were kidnapped victims, I believe some still in captivity in Kogi State. I'm not quite sure how many people have been released in Kwara as at this time. But these other states are in the ruling party. So it would look like this is taking advantage of, you know, visiting an opposition governor in order to amplify the wrongs of the administration. Isn't that what it looks like, Mr. Tanko?
Thank you very much, Bukola. Is it a medal to adopt people? Thank you. You just call Kwara. You call Kogi. You call Oyo State. You are calling how many? This is not. Is it a medal for abduction? So the government should be happy that almost every state of the Federation, they have an abductees. There is no presidential candidate in Nigeria as of today that have been able to call out what is happening to every state than Peter Obi. I put it on record to be challenged by anybody. There is none. He's the only one that have always been going. He will go from point A to point B, talk to them, find out, contribute, even use intelligence report to even give if he has one.
But why then didn't he visit the APC states?
Which of the APC states?
I just mentioned them. I mentioned them, Ekiti, Kogi, Kwara. I mentioned them.
Don't forget, myself, I've been with him to areas where we've gone to APC states. I was with him in Borno State. It's an APC state. I was with him in Katsina State. It's an APC state. I've been with him in Sokoto. It's been APC state. I've been with him in another state in the southeast.
Under different circumstances.
No. Are you saying on a continuous basis what is happening in Maiduguri? Is it different circumstances? No. In fact, that's where the worst hits. In Katsina, the same thing. So he has been there in every state. He didn't even discriminate whether you are APC or not. He was even more interested. He was more interested in the citizens. That is his target, the citizens first. It's not the government. No. The citizens are the most important state to him, important issue to him. So he has been there. I mean, he should be applauded for all of the things that he's doing. None any. I've been there to check, apart from His Excellency. In fact, let me add, we've been to Niger State. We're together with him. We're in Niger State. We were also in one of the states, I can't remember, but we've been to about 6 to 7 APC states. So please check your record.
But some would say that, you know, the security situation currently before this administration is one inherited by successive administration and wasn't particularly created under this government. And perhaps its approach to tackling the situation has been more proactive, unlike what was obtained in the past.
One would have expected that if you are inheriting a successive government, you should be able to know their minuses and plus, then tackle their minuses and add to their plus so that you can be able to be great. I'm glad that you said it was an inherited issue. So Mr. Peter Obi, once of us said that this particular government has promised to continue with the last regime, whatever they've done. The last regime has been associated with a lot of issues of kidnapping, banditry, insecurity, and all of that has been associated. So now what the present government has done is to continue where those people have stopped. Is that a good legacy? Is that a good legacy? Come on. This is the worst situation we could ever.
Mr. Tanko, are you still with us? We're experiencing network challenges through to Mr. Tanko in what has turned out so far to be, a rather vibrant discussion. I would have been interested in knowing how significantly different his principal would have been able to tackle the security situation in the country. What approach would be deployed, and what timeline would have been feasible to end the security situation once and for all in a definitive manner, as against what currently obtains at this particular point in time. And of course, also ask Mr. Tanko Yunusa why his principal has not acknowledged the success seen in the rescue, successive rescue of kidnapped victims either in Borno or in Ekiti, where we saw that over 40-something kidnapped victims were rescued and returned to reunite with their loved ones in a Dauniyo area of that particular state. Mr. Tanko, I'm told that you're back. I wonder if you got the last beat of my, questions.
Yes, if I'm correct, you are talking about where did His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi did not applaud the successes that have been recorded, right? Okay. Many a times, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi has acknowledged issues that have to do with saving of lives. He has. And maybe I will be able to point out some of them. I remember the issue of how some of them were being, rescued in Borno, as mentioned 1 or 2 times like that. But you see, the question is that, can you compare the rate of the abducting people and those who have been rescued? Can you compare both particular statistics? You will see that the measurement of those who have been abducted is so huge compared to those who have been recorded, maybe 1 or 2. That's very. This is not to say that we are not applauding the effort of our military. In fact, in every aspect of it, he went ahead even to act on the road. He stopped on the road to appreciate the level of commitment of our military guys, that they've been wonderful. He has done so on several occasions. At least I have been a witness on 1 or 2. So Mr. Peter Obi is not that kind of a person that will see good and call it bad. No, when it is bad, he will call it out. If it is good, he will also call it out and say it is good. That is the kind of person that he is. But he doesn't condemn everything that he sees that when he knows that it's good. It's not true.
Well, applauding the military and the efforts of the military is quite different from applauding specifically the efforts of the administration. And one would understand if that is, happens in a seldom manner, especially because your principal is in the opposition and is also eyeing that particular seat. We're going to pause for a moment now. When we return, it'll be time to look at divisions within the party which have continued over particularly the primaries, the disputed primaries that were conducted across states of the Federation, how your party is handling it, if indeed there are court cases initiated against the leadership of the NDC over dissatisfaction over the results of the primaries. So, Mr. Tanko Yunusa, I'm going to have you hold on. We'll take a moment now. When we return, we'll have more questions for you in part 2 after the break.
Know what's happening across Nigeria's various regions on Channels Television's Newsroom series. Every Monday, we bring you stories from the Southwest. And on Tuesday, the Northwest is our focus. We're in the South for midweek reports on Wednesday. And later in the week, the North Central takes center stage. The Southeast gets the spotlight on Fridays. And we close out the week with the Northeast on Saturday. Watch Newsroom Series, 3 p.m., Monday to Saturday, only on Channels Television.
Hello, and a warm welcome to Art House. I'm Melinda Akinlami. Coming up on today's episode of the program.
It's time to discover, connect, and be inspired on Art House, where creativity knows no bounds. Dive into the heart of Nigeria by exploring its rich tapestry of arts and culture. See these stories, creative, colorful, and vibrant, on Art House. And remember, art is not just what we create, it's who we are. On Art House, life is art.
Welcome back. Mr. Tanko Yunusa, the National Coordinator of the Obedient Movement and NDC chieftain, is still with us. He's been fielding questions on calls on the incumbent President Bola Tinubu to resign amid other security concerns. We're progressing in our conversation with Mr. Yunusa now. This time around, we're scrutinizing the fallouts of the party primaries conducted in May, and with specific focus on the insistence of Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo, former ally, surprisingly, of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party and now the NDC ahead of the next elections, allegations against him over inducement made, according to Mr. Okonkwo, by some aspirants of the political party. Mr. Tanko Yunusa, thank you for holding on. And as we start off this particular one, I've watched Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo double down on his allegation made against the leadership of the party. And he has, in fact, dismissed the criminal defamation suit, dismissing your party as social media party and indeed your candidate as social media candidate. That is just noise. How do you respond to this?
Well, Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo is entitled to his opinion. At the moment now, I think he should be concerned about the issue of the litigation that is already on him by both His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi and the former governor of, I think it's Anambra in Enugu State. Those are two issues that we should be concerned about at the moment. With regard to the issue of social media handles are organic in nature. There are Nigerians who are pained, who feel that the government has not done enough to protect the interests of the Nigerian people. And so they kick. And on that continuous basis, they will continue to do so. Not only that, that particular gathering point in the social media has also transformed into physical structures on the ground. And this I can tell you authoritatively, the structures of the obedient movement on ground, which is verifiable by any person that wants to verify. So that to tell you that we are not only on social media, we are also on ground. And the people are ready to battle for the soul of this country. When we talk about the issue of the party has an organ. I can only allude to the fact that maybe the area in which I am concerned and the area of maybe challenges as regard to the primaries, and I can authoritatively tell you that the leader of the party, His Excellency Siraka Dixon, have put everything in motion to ensure that fairness and equity, those who accuse and those who are being accused. I give you an example where some persons who feel that they've won election under dubious situation, appeal has already been made. Appeal team was already put in place, and they checkmate some of those particular areas, and they upheld the result of the appeal based on the appeal that was made by individual candidates, looking at the merits of those particular issues that are being raised. And I can also tell you that that particular issue was upheld. There were 3 motions that were moved at the National Convention. The supremacy of the party first. The second one was the
Well, you say appeals have been made. Again, we're experiencing network challenges. You say appeals have been made, but before the level of appeals, perhaps we should backtrack. And it's been said, again by Mr. Okonkwo, that the primaries in the Southeast were conducted, handled, supervised by your principal, Mr. Peter Obi, and some other members of the party. If that is the case, shouldn't we be asking questions again of the leadership of the party about how this primaries turned awry and why aspirants are coming through with concerns about exclusion, about lack of fairness in the process? And I recall that we in fact interviewed a particular aspirant from the Southeast, his name escapes me now, who had similar complaints but stopped short of alleging inducement. So perhaps you want to answer that. Is it true that Mr. Peter Obi supervised the primaries in the Southeast?
No, Mr. Peter Obi was not even anything near supervision of the primaries. But of course, there are who have capacity to actually, midwife and actually administer the primary. Like I said, anybody that has been accused or is accusing or alleging, the party mechanism has been put in place for an appeal committee. And everybody that have met up with their appeal had been looked into, and the situation has been upheld at the National Convention of the party. So to tell you that the party is dealing with every form of allegations that may have come into the party's mechanism, this I know because I was there. So in the case of those I don't know, I cannot put up a defense in that regard. But I can tell you authoritatively that His Excellency Siraka Dixon ensure that the party mechanism and the party integrity remain very much intact.
But you do acknowledge that, the Constitution forbids a rule from excluding people from a particular part of the country. And we've had more of these complaints coming from the Southeast. And some of them are saying that since he won his own presidential ticket, he stopped picking calls, to provide any form of intervention to help those who feel aggrieved out.
Mr. Peter Obi, His Excellency, is not the chairman of the party. Every party has its leadership role. He is also a contestant just like any other. And where he needs to put up a kind of intervention in certain area, at least I witnessed some, he does so. I witnessed areas where he got himself involved to ensure that parity, equity, justice, and fairness is being established. And as I said, it is the party's prerogative to deal with this issue, which they have also put in the public domain for those who feel aggrieved to send up a petition, and an appeal committee held, and they dealt with this appeal, and that has been upheld at the National Convention. So you see, all the party mechanism has been put into place.
But as a kinsman, as a father figure to many of these aspirants, especially those from the Southeast, shouldn't he have been available to provide some form of intervention for them, especially for those who are aggrieved, who have been eased out of the process? The narrative we keep hearing is that he stopped picking calls. Perhaps you want to unmute your device, Mr. Tanko. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, like I said, in every of the intervention that he needed to do, he also intervened on several occasions, but not to either advantage or disadvantage of any candidate, but for the equity and the integrity of the party. That he has stood for. On a continuous basis, he has done so.
Well, if that were the case, we may have to confirm from the other aspirants if indeed that is the situation, that he has intervened on a continuous basis. Just before we exit that particular matter, is it true that aspirants are being asked to pay 10 million naira, 20 million naira as certain fees, maybe nomination fees or expression of interest fees, because the party needs to fund the presidential aspiration of your principal? Mr. Tanko, did you get that question?
What did you say?
How true is it that aspirants are being asked to pay 10 million naira, 20 million naira, depending on the case, for expression of interest forms or nomination forms in order to fund the presidential aspiration of your principal?
Complete false. Complete false. Mr. Peter Obi never asked any single person to pay X amount of money for his aspiration. In fact, the one we did under the obedient movement, he has completely, what we did then was those who want to buy nomination form as a gesture, as a good gesture for his candidature. And he even told us that he does not need such support from anybody. And so His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi was very, very categorically clear on that particular matter. So nobody can tell you that they've been asked to pay X amount of money. The only money that were being paid to the party were clearly stipulated in the flyer that they sent to every candidate that I know. If there are any other ones that we asked to pay, that would have been by the sidewalk negotiation, which the party or Peter Obi is not part of at all. In fact, to tell you, I was there when he was saying that we should even try and find a way to reduce the cost of purchasing of forms so that many people can be able to buy. At least I was witness to that.
And so when asked, Mr. Yunusa, when asked to either apologize for the comments he made on our sister political program or provide evidence to prove indeed that there was any form of bribery now or inducement in order to get party tickets, he did provide, Mr. Okonkwo provided a particular evidence that was cited. I wonder if you cited that, and I'd like you to speak to the authenticity. Perhaps you want to debunk that particular evidence that he provided.
Who are you referring to, please?
Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo.
Who are you referring to, please?
Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo, the former ally of your presidential candidate.
He said what?
The evidence that he provided to show proof in defense of the allegations that he made against your principal. I'd like you to speak to it.
That's what I'm asking. I don't even know what you are talking about as regard to evidence, as regard to what payment. Peter Obi never opened an account for anybody to pay any single kobo to. He never did that. There was no any proof whatsoever. Who did he give the money to? You should prove, please.
Well, understandably, your response to that is unsurprising. As we make progress now, and you've spoken partly to this, and I'd just like you to expand it as we transit to another subject matter in this engagement. Mr. Alimodu Sheriff had said on our sister political program yesterday that the North would not vote for Mr. Peter Obi in the coming elections. And you are saying that there is evidence to the contrary from the last general elections. But some would say that the dynamics now in the last 3 years of this administration have changed, with infrastructure development, reshaping the North with federal projects in the North, and that this particular election is going to be more keenly contested. I wonder if you're going to contest that particular position. And if you are, what is the ultimate strategy of the NDC in securing a sizable win in the North in this particular election?
In order to respond to your question, I'd like to make a comparison within Alhaji Alimodu Sheriff, His Excellency Alhaji Alimodu Sheriff, and Peter Obi. Can you look at the pendulum? This is somebody who has always been accused of funding and working with Boko Haram, as allegedly stated by Stephen David, an Australian negotiator. Now, you see the pendulum dropping. This same person who has also been accused, and that one was made in your own television station. And then two, this is somebody who have allegedly been associated with corruption tendencies, allegedly, with the former Minister of Petroleum, Alison Madueke. And up to now, he has not been convicted. You can see also the pendulum drop. This is the same person, and that was alluded to Vanguard newspaper. According to Wikipedia, during his tenure as a government, there are people who could not account for expenditure that has to do with infrastructural development within the state, and then the pendulum also dropped. And this is the same person that was also accused of, embezzlement, within which AFCC was also trying to look at, kind of allegedly, what would I use the word, that he has already been adjudged to be guilty or not, has not been convicted. That is the way to find out. And all of this is according to Wikipedia. Now, you compare with His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, who left 75 billion naira in the coffers of the Anambarians. You could see his own rising up. You are talking about His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, who also was able to secure his people throughout his tenure with ensuring that they have power supply and paying the pension and gratuity of his people continuous basis and bringing the children from 26th position to number 1 position in WAEC. That is how you see his pendulum rising.
Mr. Yunusa,
and that is the same person that you're...
Mr. Yunusa,
a complete comparison.
It's difficult to contest your commentary. But what you're doing is a comparison. It's not a direct answer to the question. I'm asking about strategy. What strategy do you have to ensure an improvement on the performance of your principal in the 2027 presidential election?
To fact that, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
When you talk about strategy, number one, the first pick for His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi was to pick his vice presidential candidate from the northern part. And he did not pick anybody. He picked His Excellency Engineer Rabiu Musa Tanko, an astute politician, a revered person, a loved person within my own state, Kano State, somebody that the northern Ekle feel as a defender of their interests, the same person who also shared the same ideological belief with His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi in terms of education, protection, production, and every good thing that have to come with people-oriented political system. And that is His Excellency Mr. Alhaji Engineer Rabiu Musa Tanko. So first strategy is to connect with the northern people.
Yeah, go ahead. Is that all? Mr. Tanko? Mr. Tanko, is that all, or we're experiencing another round of challenges with the network?
Yes, you did. But you heard me very well that he picked His Excellency Engineer Rabiu Musa Tanko as his deputy. And that, of course, translates into how he intends to work very closely with the people of the North. That is in itself is the biggest strategy that we put in place. So the remaining are all technical issues that I don't think it would be very wise for me to discuss with you on open television.
Well, that's understandable. But I was referring earlier to the dynamics that have changed in recent times with the presence of federal projects in Nigeria's north, that may have connected the APC government with the people in the north and would perhaps earn them more wins in that part of the country. And besides that, the votes may also have been split with the inevitable participation in the race of the ADC presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. So isn't your party concerned that that will be a division of the votes come 2027? And how do you intend to counter that?
Well, let me tell you something. It would be good also, really, if everybody comes together. But where they do not see reason for what we have been able to put into the public space. Are you talking about the northern part that most of the farmers cannot go to their farms? Are you talking about that is development in terms of security? Are you talking about the same north which business and economic well-being has completely been? Is that the development? Have they been able to enjoy life? Are you talking about the same north that it is difficult for you to even plow some of the roads? Is that a development for the northern people? Obviously, no. I think the north has been worse hit in this government, which they are now struggling to put up a kangaroo success in terms of infrastructure to show them probably that they are being cared for. I can tell you, the northern people are not stupid. They are wise enough to know if they are being baited by macaroni and maggi. I'm telling you this. So they will not do it again. You can do your statistics, go and investigate anywhere. They are waiting for everybody that have already maligned and used their name, even using their religion for selfish interests. So that is a sure banker. The North is already angry. I'm sure maybe I'm telling you now, everybody will now go back to the drawing board. But that's the fact.
Well, the debate on that continues. Let's go to the southeast, which one some would say it's the natural stronghold of your principle. But in the last couple of years, we've seen a defection of some of the traditional strongholds of especially Enugu State, to be precise now, has now gone the way of the APC. And we know that Imo has been retained by the APC. And Anambra, which is, the only APGA home in Nigeria, has declared loyalty for the APC-led government in the presidential election. Are you sure, are you confident that your principal will be able to repeat the same feat in the 2027 elections in terms of votes?
You want to ask, are you talking about the people or the government in power? If you're talking about the government in power, they are different from the people. Majority of the people, if you put Mr. Peter Obi on ground, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi on ground for an election, I can tell you 100% he would defeat any other person. In fact, to tell you the truth, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi is the only candidate that can give you a block vote of his region, complete region. The 5 states in that region will vote for Peter Obi. You can take this particular situation to the bank. And the people are ready to protect his vote. Despite anything, whatever it is, but the people will vote massively for His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. So we are not part about the Southeast, but we can continue to engage them so that we will not give room for any kind of situation, just like as you just alluded now.
And are you confident that your principal will win the election in 2027, maybe by a landslide or by minimal margin, or there will be a repeat, a runoff election, given the fact that there are projections that this may well be a 3-horse race in 2027?
With this combination with
60 seconds now.
With this combination with Engineer Musa Konkusu, I'm ultimately optimistic that the win will come our way by the grace of God, because Nigerians are basically tired of these shenanigans in this government.
All right, we must anchor at this point and be ready, even as we anchor, to quote you come 2027, that you have said the win will come your way, whether or not you win. Mr. Tanko, Yunusa, thank you so much for your time on the program. Mr. Yunusa is the National Coordinator of the Obedient Movement and, of course, is an NDC chieftain. Thank you for coming through on Political Paradigm.
Well, there is power in the tongue. When you say, God will answer you.
Well, we'll find out many months from now. Thank you for coming on the program. And that's our show for today. Thank you so much for watching. I am Bukola Koka, standing in for your anchor, Terry Ikumi. Bye for now.